Okay, we're going to try this lesson a little bit differently than I have been. We're going to try it right from the book online. Okay, so we're starting chapter 2. Chapter 2 is about rational numbers. And we're going to think about them a little bit first. There are a couple of cartoons down here. The dog says, "On the count of 5, I'm going to give you half of my dog biscuits." And the cat thinks, "Nice!" So the dog starts counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4, 4 7/8. And then the cat thinks, "I knew this was too good to be true." So do you think he's ever going to get to 5? Ha ha ha. All right, let's look down at the next one. The dog says, "I entered a contest for dog biscuits. I was notified that the number of biscuits I won was in the 3-digit range." So the cat thinks to himself, 1.25. Now that's a 3-digit number, but there's a decimal point in there. So really that's saying that he'll get 1 and 25 hundredths of a dog bone, which is 1 1/4 dog bones. So the dog is still all optimistic. But then the cat says, "Hold off on the tail wagging until the box arrives," meaning it may be less than you think. All right, one more cartoon before we start. The dog says, "Let's play a game. The goal is to say a positive rational number that is less than the other pet's number. You go first." And the cat thinks, this feels like a setup. So if the dog started with 10, then the cat could say 5, and the dog could say 2.5, and then the cat could say 1, and the dog could say 7/8, and the cat could say 1/2, and the dog could say 1/3. So this, like the first one up here, could go on forever. Anyway, let's get back to the lesson itself. All right, so this is like a review of what you've learned before. Writing decimals and fractions. Example 1. If you write 0.37 or 37 hundredths as a fraction, it would be 37 over 100. That's pretty simple. We know that. All you do is you take the 2 digits after the decimal, and because there's 2 digits, you put 100 underneath it. If it was 0.3, you would make it into 3/10. All right, example 2, write 2/5 as a decimal. They did it in a very clever way. They have 2/5, and 2/5 equals 2/5, and then they multiplied the top and the bottom number by 2. So now the numerator is 4, and the denominator is 10. And we know that 10 as the denominator we would say this as 4/10. And so it would be easy to translate that into a decimal, 0.4. Okay? All right. So now try it yourself. You're going to try these 4 problems right here. Write the decimal as a fraction or the fraction as a decimal. I want you to pause the video and do all 4 of those problems now. Okay. Let's check out the answers to these. All right. So the first one was 51 hundredths. So that one was pretty easy, 51 over 100. And this one is 731 thousandths. So we put 731 over 1,000. Okay, so this one's kind of like the second one that we had. 3/5, and we multiply the top and the bottom by 2. Okay, so we would get 6/10, and that we could convert to the decimal 6/10. And number 4, 7/8, we could multiply that by 125, the top and the bottom, so we would get 875 over 1,000. So it would be 0.875 would be our decimal, 875 thousandths. Don't look at number 5 yet. Okay. All right, now adding and subtracting fractions. Here's an example. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. No. There. Example number 3. We're going to add 1/3 and 1/5. Now what we have to do is we have to have a common denominator. Do you remember that term? So the bottom number has to be the same. So the easiest way to do that is these are both factors of 15. So what they did was they took the 1/3, and in order to get 15, you have to multiply the bottom by 5, which means you also have to multiply the top number by 5. And the same thing with 1/5. In order to get 15, you have to multiply the denominator by 3. So you have to multiply the numerator by 3. So the first fraction becomes 5/15, and the second fraction becomes 3/15. And now, since they are common denominators, we can add 5 and 3, and we get 8/15, 8/15. All right, now same kind of rules with addition and subtraction. So if we have 1/4 minus 2/9, we have to get a common denominator, and it's 36. So to change 1/4, we have to multiply the top and the bottom by 9. And to change 2/9, we have to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. So we get 9/36, 9/36, minus 8/36, which would be 1/36. Okay. Now, rules for multiplying and dividing. Multiplying are pretty simple. What we do is we multiply right across the top. Now, one way we could do this is we could multiply 5 times 3 and get 15 for the numerator, and 6 times 4 and get 24 for the denominator, but then we'd have to reduce. So what they did was they took the 3 from the top and the 6, and you can divide each number by 3. So the 3 becomes a 1 when you cross cancel, and the 6 becomes a 2. Now we add 5 times 1, and we add 2 times 4, and our answer is 5/8. And let's try to do that when we can, because otherwise we'll have to be reducing, and that's not so fun. Number 6, 2/3 divided by 9/10. Now, the trick to division is you are going to take the second fraction and you're going to flip it. When you flip it, it's called the reciprocal. It says multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. Okay, so instead of 2/3 divided by 9/10, you're going to multiply here. So you're going to have 2/3 just like over here, and the reciprocal of 9/10 would be 10/9. So you multiply 2 times 10 and 3 times 9, and you get 20/27. 20/27. Okay. Whoops. Let's get back to the regular size here. Okay. Now, you are going to try Oh, I can't remember how to do that. You're going to try number 5, 6, 7, and 8 on your own. And I'm going to give you another hint. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting, you have to have a common denominator. Okay? And when you're multiplying, you just multiply across unless you can cancel. And when you're dividing, you have to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. All right, pause it, and let's see what we can do about getting the answers. Okay, let's see what we got for the answers. Let's compare yours and mine. Whoops, hold on a minute. Let's get back to the regular size. Okay. So now you can look at number 5. Okay, so the problem was 1/4 plus 13/20. So you have to get the common denominator, and you don't have to do anything to 20 because 4 is a factor of 20. So in order to get 1/4 to have the same denominator as this second fraction, which is 20, all you have to do is multiply the first fraction, the top and the bottom, by 5. Okay, so 1 times 5 is 5, 4 times 5 is 20, and now, since they're both the same denominator, 5 plus 13 becomes 18, so you have 18/20, and now you have to reduce this, so you can divide both of these by 2, and then you get 9/10. I don't know why they wrote it this way, but I wouldn't have written it that way. Anyway, the answer is 9/10. Okay, let's look at number 6. The problem is 14/15 subtract 1/3. So we have to find a common denominator for the 15 and the 3. And the common denominator would be 15. So all you have to do is change the second fraction. So it would be 14/15 minus 5/15, because we multiply both of those by 5. So 14 minus 5 is 9, and obviously we keep the same denominator. Both of those numbers are divisible by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. So the answer is 3/5. Number 7. This is a multiplication problem. 3/7 times 9/10. This is a pretty simple one. We're going to multiply right across. There's nothing that we can cross cancel, nothing we can reduce. So 3 times 9 is 27, and 7 times 10 is 70. And we can't reduce that any, so it's 27/70. And number 8 is a division problem. 4/5 divided by 16/17. So if you remember, we have to take the second fraction and we have to find the reciprocal of it. So instead of 16/17, we're going to have 17/16. Then we're 4 and 16 right here. We can cross cancel them, divide them each by 4. So 4 becomes 1 and 16 becomes 4. So now we have 1 times 17 is 17. Whoops, what did I do? Whoops, sorry about that. 1 times 17 is 17, and 5 times 4 is 20. So the answer is 17/20. I hope you enjoyed my little goof ups in that one. Let's see. I guess that's it. Now we're ready for lesson 2.1. Please go and do the activities for 2.1 next. Bye-bye.